That's right, the new patch is finally here with a ton of balance changes. 43 pages to be exact. So what did they add? I'm going to try my best to break down every character and their changes with this patch, and unironically, if you haven't played the game in a while, this is genuinely the best time to get back into Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, because this patch not only fixes a ton of bugs, it fixes things with the campaign, and most importantly, for many players, this patch is the most fun they've had with the game in a very long time. Gosh, where do I even begin with this patch? Oh my gosh, it's just the best thing ever. So, to start, we have a ton of very important bug fixes. These fix certain power-ups causing crashes on the campaign mode. It fixes a bug on Con Street where Doodle Bob would not even spawn. That's right, Doodle Bob is in the game as a stage hazard. It fixes a crash on Timeless Startout if 2 or more players were KO'd consecutively on a side blast zone. The devs also fixed characters turning around while transitioning to an idle air animation after performing certain special moves while airborne. And finally, a general issue was fixed where characters were able to slime cancel during hit stun while in a hard land state under certain specific circumstances. Now for the big juicy bits, the balance changes. There's a lot of these, and I'm gonna try to be quick with them where I can, so let's just get into it. SpongeBob SquarePants now has a weakened hitbox after his first charge down hitbox spin. So his first hit is strong and his next hit on his down strong is weaker. SpongeBob's charge down air now no longer goes through platforms. This was a bug that was unintended and now, thankfully, is finally fixed, making the move make a lot more sense visually. Finally, for SpongeBob, he had a bug fixed where with his up special, an issue would happen where the player could land with no landing lag when they were rising with the move. This is now fixed and no longer happens. Next up, we have Patrick. Patrick no longer has the ability to slime cancel after using up special when he lands with it on the ground. This makes it far easier to punish. Patrick's back throw now has an increased damage rate of 18% from 15. This gives it a little bit more oomph, and honestly, it's a very welcome change. Patrick's down throw has increased damage and now does 15% up from its original 10. Patrick's forward throw now has double the damage and does 16% up from its original 8. Patrick's up throw now has increased damage as well, now doing 15% up from its original 10. Patrick's up special now has increased damage from 15% now doing 16. I know, a pretty big jump, right? When Patrick successfully grabs an opponent with his EX side special, he now has super armor throughout the entirety of the move. Squidward now has reduced slime gain when dealing damage by 20%. This means that when Squidward is doing combos and dealing damage generally, he should be rewarded with less slime for the amount of damage he's dealing. Squidward's strong up air now has reduced momentum during its startup animation. The second change for his strong up air is that it no longer can be fast-felled while charging during its startup animation. Squidward's down air strong has reduced momentum during its startup. Squidward's down strong now has improved multi-hit consistency, making it more reliable. Squidward's light down air spike angle was changed from -80 degrees to -90 degrees. Squidward's light forward air now has improved multi-hit consistency, making it easier to connect each next hit. Squidward's up special has an issue that was fixed where, if performed close enough to the ground, Squidward could bypass all landing lag. This was known as bike dashing. Up special also had its initial velocity reduced, and the final hitbox damage was decreased from 12 damage to 8. Neutral special has an increased landing lag of 5 frames per note charge. The amount of time that the second version of Squidward note exists was decreased. Slime note double hit was also reworked, and the launch angle was changed. Squidward down special now has increased startup on its normal version, and can no longer be fast fallen when in the air. The EX version of this now has greatly reduced startup animation. Squidward forward special now has greatly increased end lag, making it far more punishable, and has a total rework of all the paintings. Plankton no longer has the ability to recover light up air stall when grabbing the ledge. Now, he can only receive this when he lands on the ground. The finishing hit of Plankton's charged up air now has an increased base knockback from 14 to 14.6 now. Plankton's knockback gain on this move was decreased from 16.3 down to 14.5. Plankton's neutral air strong now has slightly increased landing lag. Plankton's light neutral air now has an increased startup by 1 frame, its block stun reduced, and increased landing lag. Plankton's up tilt now has a base knockback decrease from 18.4 to 16.4, a knockback gain increase from 10.95 to 11.2, and a hit stun minimum decreased from 12 to 10. Light up air's angle was changed from 67 degrees to 62. Ren and Stimpy had their weight decreased from 1.09 to 1.06. They have an increased hit stun fall speed and hit stun gravity to be more susceptible to combos. An issue was fixed where intangibility was not applied on the correct hitboxes for up tilt. Ren and Stimpy's down strong was reworked on the last hit so that knockback is much weaker and now sends at a 45-degree angle instead. EX forward special now has reduced height gain and speed on its EX version. The car hitbox projectile now comes out until frame 9 when jumping out of the car. It also has increased jump height out of the car and increased the earliest actionable frame after jumping out of the car to 16. Aang's light neutral air now has its hit stun set to 7 frames. Korra's weight was decreased from 0.97 to 0.92. Korra's fall speed was slightly decreased. Korra had a blind spot removed from their edge attack, and forward special can now only be done once per airtime and is only recovered once they land. Korra has another rework for their side special. It now can be held longer in the air, and the grounded version now lunges further forward. Korra's forward light aerial and neutral light aerial are now -2 to -4 worse on block, with light forward air being -2 worse, light neutral air being anywhere between -2 all the way up to -4 depending on the version. Azula has a new added lower hitbox for her grab, making it easier to get lower opponents. Azula's neutral air strong now has a total frame increase from 45 to 50. April had an issue that was fixed where she could gain meter simply by hitting her camera with the neutral special. Luckily, this is gone. The size of April's down air strong hitboxes were reduced. Light up air's lower hitbox was removed. The hit stun of light up air is now set to 4 frames on its multi-hit, and the multi-hit block stun is decreased from 6 to 4 frames. April's neutral special no longer gives ratings on hit. The knockback gain of the move is decreased from 10 to 8. The max knockback gain is decreased from 40 to 23. April's grounded forward special now has a decreased startup by 5 frames, and the aerial startup was increased by 11 frames. Donatello's forward special EX now can be acted faster out of it, and it can only be triggered if there is already a smoke bomb set up. Raphael had their weight decreased from 0.95 to 0.1. Raph's up special slightly increases upwards with velocity after the final kick, making it easier to snap to ledge. Raph's light down air had its multi-hit consistency improved, the base knockback increased from 8.7 to 10.5, and the angle changed from 70 degrees to 50 degrees. This should make it easier to use for combos, as well as connect much better. Raph's light forward air had its knockback gain decreased from 16.2 down to 15. Raphael's light neutral air autolink hit stun minimum was increased, up from 13 to 16. This significantly helps his neutral air connect more consistently on all types of characters. It's really awesome. Raph's hitboxes on his up tilt were adjusted to better match the visual effects. It got intangibility to the leg during the hitbox active frames, a base knockback increase from 9.4 to 12.4, a knockback gain decrease from 18.45 to 17, and slightly decreased end lag. Jimmy can no longer act out of his up special. This means he's locked into it and he can't jump, air dodge, or anything unless he uses a slime cancel. When using taunt to self-destruct Goddard, Jimmy can now move Goddard during the pre-explosion state, and Jimmy can now go back to controlling himself during this state using the taunt button again. Jimmy's forward special has added block push to all wind projectiles. Strong up air for Jimmy is now weaker across the board, with a decreased knockback gain, a decreased sour spot knockback gain, and a sweet spot knockback gain decrease. The hitbox of aerial down strong is now decreased in size. Forward tilt now has increased startup, and across the board, a decrease in block pushback and base knockback and knockback gain. Danny now has increased hit stun gravity, making him far easier to combo. Danny also has a hand hurtbox when he does his ledge hold animation, fix collision issues during his ultimate attack, and remove the ability to slime cancel up special and down air strong on landing them. Danny's neutral special has its projectile priority removed, making it no longer transcendent beating other projectiles, and now simply despawns when coming into contact with other types of hitboxes or projectiles. Danny Phantom's up special recovery was nerfed. The distance travel was decreased, and they also gave it a small impulse towards the end to allow it to snap to ledge a little bit easier. They also decreased the window to slime cancel it after teleporting. That's right, Ember finally has her Phantom Cheer bug fixed. Although, hold your horses, this had to be done by changing how projectiles work with Ember. Her projectiles no longer increase the cheer meter, as they were the cause for the meter no longer gaining the cheer effect. However, this does mean that every time now when you see that you have cheer, it is in fact a true meter. Ember's neutral air was adjusted so that it is more consistent. Ember's strong up air has a greatly reduced air drift during its state. It now also matches its visual effects with its hitboxes. Lucy Ghost mode now has a reworked neutral special. This bite option is now a combo tool and sends opponents upward. It also has increased end lag and decreased first actionable frame on hit to frame 29. The slowdown effect status is also removed. Zim's partner Gir now has a reduced health to 20 instead of 40 on the normal version, and on the EX version of that move, Gir now has 30 health. When opponents take knockback, they now receive increased knockback when attacked by Gir. Gir also receives some fixes where Gir could cancel hit stun by inputting forward special, and another issue where Gir could sometimes spawn flying in a different direction. Zim's get-up attack at ledge is no longer a projectile. Zim is now always airborne when starting his up special. It also has reduced momentum retained after using a slime cancel, and increased frame to action after bouncing off the ground from frame 0 to frame 13. The earliest frame to air dodge is frame 10, and also a bug was fixed where if neutral was held during the slime version, it would not travel anywhere. Zim light up air has been changed to be less easy to connect with both parts and easier to escape with SDI or DI. Reptar's light down air has a damage decrease from 15% to 13%, and the regular hitbox of light down air has a damage decrease from 16% to 15%. Reptar's forward special has an increased active frames by 1 frame. Nigel down special can now be slime cancelled, making it so that when you whiff this attack, you can shield or recover and not fall to your death off stage. Nigel now has a new forward throw animation. This allows Nigel to jump forward while throwing his opponent, leaving him airborne. This allows you to follow up with new combos and confirms thanks to this option. Rocko had a bunch of bug fixes. This included fixing an issue where Spunky would no longer become available after interacting with Jackhammer during certain circumstances. Luckily, this is fixed. He also had a windbox that was removed from both his forward charge, and Aang now has an added hurt box that makes it easier to punish when it lands, or just in general. Rocko's forward strong and aerial forward strong both have increased end lag. Gerald's total amount of watches per stock has been reduced to 3 from 5 watches. Jared's get-up attack, basketball, is no longer coded as a projectile, making it far more reliable when getting up from ledge. Gerald's strong up air now has decreased base knockback from 15 down to 12, and increased landing lag, making it more punishable. The sweet spot of Gerald's neutral air strong has been slightly reduced. The sour spot now has higher priority than the sweet spot, making spacing far more important. Gerald's light back air had its block pushback and block stun decreased. Gerald's block pushback was decreased from 0.6 to 0.2, and the block stun was decreased from 2 to 1. This should help make blocking Gerald's back air more rewarding and less punishing for the player. This block stun decrease was also done to Gerald's light forward air and light neutral air, making these moves more punishable on block and making them less insane of boxing tools for its owner. Gerald's dash attack has increased end lag, making this move actually punishable on block. This move originally could be done twice on block, making it incredibly hard to punish due to its little end lag. Now, this move can be punished on whiff, and it no longer can be done into itself twice as a true combo. Grandma Gertie had some general changes, with her weight being decreased from 0.95 to 0.87. She also had her slime gain reduced by 20% across the board. Granny's jab was given increased startup. Granny's down tilt now has increased end lag, making it more punishable. Grandma Gertie's light down air now has increased landing lag, up from 11 to 13 now. Grandma Gertie's neutral air strong now has a knockback gain decreased from 13 to 12, a block stun decrease from 11 to 8, and its velocity was clamped on slime cancel, no longer giving it an insanely broken movement option. Grandma Gertie's down strong now has a decreased knockback gain from 24 down to 18, and a block push decrease from 1.4 down to 1. The late hitbox now has increased priority and a decreased knockback gain from 24 down to 14.5, a block stun push decrease from 1.2 down to 0.8, a damage decrease from 13 down to 12%, and an angle change of 50 degrees, now being a 45 degree. Grandma Gertie's down special now has increased startup, making it harder to just spam these projectiles. Grandma Gertie's up special tether was reduced in distance, making it harder to just snap to ledge with it. This move now is shorter and requires players to be closer to the ledge when using it in order for the grapple hook to grab the ledge. El Tigre's neutral special no longer has the ability to fast fall upon landing a hit with it. El Tigre's forward special now can only be done once per airtime, removing infinite grab combos that were insane but very much unneeded. El Tigre's neutral air strong now has a hurt box added to the spinning claws, making this move more easy to be counterattacked by opponents' moves. El Tigre's light down air, light forward air, and light up air all were made worse on block by -1 frame. El Tigre's light neutral air, however, was made -2 frames worse on block. Daggit's down air strong base knockback was increased from 8 to 11. The knockback gain on this move was also increased from 7.5 to 8, and the angle was changed from -25 degrees to a 45 degree angle. The late hit of this move now has an increased base knockback from 7 to 12, a knockback gain increase of 5 to 8, and an angle change of 20 degrees, now being 38. Daggit's neutral air strong block stun was decreased, making this less punishing when blocked. The momentum was also reduced after doing a slime cancel, reducing the recovery effectiveness of this option, and landing lag for this move was increased from 12 frames to 16, making it more punishing when Daggit lands. Each of Daggit's throws were nerfed, making him weaker at getting kills off of them. Daggit also had an overall block stun decrease on his light back air, light down air, and light forward air, as well as his light neutral air. Norbert's charge up air now has an increased base knockback of 15.2 up from 15, and a decrease in knockback gain from 16.8 down to 15.5. Jenny Wakeman now has a lower weight of 0.9 down from 1.0. Her up special fuel recovery speed is now 50% as fast as it used to be, and the amount of fuel recovered when she lands is decreased by 60%. She also has a visual effect now that represents the fuel is now full again. She's also lost the ability to slime cancel up special on landing, making it easier to punish her when she lands with up special. Jenny's jab, up tilt, and down tilt were all improved improved in their multi-hit consistencies, making them easier to connect into their next consecutive hits. Light up air can now only be held for a total of 100 frames before performing it again. This limits the stalling and hover ability that Jenny has that was very annoying to deal with for characters with not so great recoveries trying to make it back to ledge. Mr. Krabs' forward air now has increased end lag. The total duration of the move is now 37 frames. The landing leg of this move was also increased from 14 to 16 on whiff, and the landing leg increased from 12 to 14 on hit. This move is definitely nerfed. At level 3, Mr. Krabs' side special can no longer do the third version of this after whiffing the move. It can only be done on hit. Mr. Krabs' grab was changed from frame 5 to frame 7, nerfing his grab as well. Zuko had a bunch of bugs fixed with his swords and other animations, making them normalized during his light air, light down air, and light forward air. Zuko's up special had its ledge snap improved to be earlier than it used to be. Rocksteady had a bunch of bugs fixed. One of these was where Rocksteady could not climb the ledge correctly on Tremerton Joyride. Another was that if Rocksteady got pushed off a platform, he would be unable to act unless he landed. A bunch of minor super, movement, and ledge bugs were fixed for Rocksteady, making him function as intended in many normal situations where he just simply wouldn't. This has improved him significantly, surprisingly. Rocksteady's forward special now can be recovered when he's attacked and dealt damage. Another issue is fixed with this move where the slime version of forward special would occur without triggering a slime attack initially. Forward strong now can be cancelled into neutral special earlier in order to increase the window to explode barrels with it. Knockback gain on this move was also increased from 22.6 up to 23. The barrel explosion hitbox was also increased in size slightly. Uncle Iroh is finally fixed. Well, let's get this over with. His weight was decreased from 1.05 to 1. He also got an issue that was fixed where he could no longer regain his intangibility on the ledge. Some props were fixed at spawning at the wrong time. They fixed an issue where forward special hitbox could come out on frame 1 when transitioning from the air to the ground version. They resized the block hurtbox and visual effects. Devs fixed an ability that existed where he could slime cancel, then up special downwards to land. They fixed the color of some fire explosion effects. They fixed the explosion startup frames, and so much more that we'll get into right now. Downstrong has a new added impulse towards the front of it during the move. Uncle Iroh's charged up air now has complete reduced drift during the charge, making this far less mobile. When Iroh does this move, he can only drift in the direction he was moving after jumping. If he holds backwards, he will stop in place and be unable to move anymore. Iroh's up strong was improved in its multi-hit consistency, making it actually connect and hit when it's supposed to. In addition, its base knockback was increased from 8 to 9, an angle was changed to 135 degrees to 140, and an added light weaker hitbox was done. The weaker hitbox of light back air angle was changed from 50 degrees to 130 degrees. Iroh's light neutral air hitbox was removed from his body, and the block damage on this move was decreased. Iroh's light up air's hitbox size was reduced a little bit. Iroh's forward tilt has an added hitbox between the hand and the fire, as well as has a decreased block stun from 20 down to 12. Uncle Iroh's forward special now has increased startup frames to frame 21. It also halts your momentum when you use this in the air, and it has reduced hitbox sizes during the Jasmine T buff. The startup frame on the ground for this move is also frame 21. The damage for this move is decreased greatly, and the shield damage per hit is greatly reduced. The slime-enhanced version of Side Special no longer has its momentum boosting capabilities when you use a slime cancel after doing an EX Side Special. Uncle Iroh's Neutral Special now stops momentum when you use the move and no longer can land cancel. Iroh's Up Throw now has a new base knockback increase from 14.6 to 15.2 and a knockback gain decrease of 17.6 down to 14.5. And those are the most important things you need to know about what's changed with the newest patch 1.13 of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. There's actually still quite a few things I did not mention in this video, and if you'd like to see the entirety of what this patch has brought, which is, again, more than 43 pages of new, insane, well-done changes by the dev team, you better check out their patch notes on Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl Game.com. Generally, the consensus from the community about this patch is it's a very positive, very well done, very appreciated patch. Genuinely, if you've been holding out because of the balance of the previous patches, or you just didn't like the direction of certain character designs, many of those previous decisions have been reversed, changed, or completely removed entirely, and replaced with things that community specifically asked for, and it's just very much showing. People love this patch. It's been 24 hours since this patch has come out at the time of recording, and genuinely, this game has not seemed as happy to exist as it does now. So genuinely, thank you dev team, thank you beta testers, thank you everyone who created this patch, because genuinely, this game is very, very much in a wonderful state right now. And gosh, it's just gonna be a very exciting time for the future of this game. With Heatwave 1 week away, this patch will be used at the event, and we'll see it on full display in a competitive tournament format. If you liked this video and want to see more like it, make sure to like it and give it a subscription. My channel always posts about Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 constantly. So if you like what you see and you like to see more competitive, more casual, and just general content about the game in any way, shape, or form, this is where you're gonna find it, Cherry NASB. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.